Wow, we're live. So, hello everybody. Thank you, Paul, so much for coming on. This is my Foxy had me on for invited me in once, and I did one live by myself. So it's really lovely to have a friend to do my second live with, because last time I felt I was kind of talking into the air a little bit, and that's quite difficult to get used to. So how are you today?
I'm supposed to say very well, aren't I? But I'm not.
No?
I've got a stinking cold, and I've hurt my back pretty bad. So psychologically I'm fine, but physically I'm pretty banged up. If I'm honest, I don't.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry to hear that. I'd skipped my I do a few exercises each day, just a very small little routine, and I'd skipped it for 3 or 4 days. So I pushed it a little bit yesterday, and I kind of feel it like I've got something that's like, we say a Hexenschuss in German. It's like a witch's finger or a witch's curse on something in your muscle. And yeah, I'm feeling that today. So we have the Hutch. Is that your dear wife?
It is. She is sat literally just opposite me, but she feels really rough. So I said, "Are you coming on tonight?" She was like, "She doesn't feel great, so she doesn't want to."
And we have Foxy says, "Hi, Hutch, oh God, everybody on here." And he also said, "I'm so ready for the fun." I'm sorry, Hutch, I don't have any balloons or anything.
I don't know if I can do it when it works.
I have no things to rattle or anything to make it more fun. It's just us, but I'm sure we'll have a nice time anyway.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just going to share it on my page. I'm not being rude. I'm just sharing it.
No, that's great. That would be nice.
And then we might get a few more in. But yeah, it's always a pleasure to speak to someone. I'll sit and talk to you whether there's one person in, no people in, or 100 people in.
How do you do that? Okay, so now I'm going to Goldie is saying, "Hi there, lovely Mel." So how do you do that? How do you get used to, or how does it feel comfortable to sit and just talk to almost essentially yourself, because you can see yourself on the screen? And how does that work?
I guess it's strange. I'm a confident person anyway. I'm pretty sure that I could go on stage in front of 50,000 people and quite happily talk, because the way I see it is, if you can talk to one person, you can talk to hundreds of thousands. It's no different. So, and I think that we started out doing this because we wanted to help other people. And when you've got other, even if you've got, I mean, we used to get 4 or 5 people in the chat, but even if you're helping 4 or 5 people and you've got a couple of people telling you that they like what you do, or they're giving you compliments, saying nice things, telling you, we had a guy once who said that he'd given up drinking off the back of some of the stuff that we did after 30 years of habitual drinking.
Wow.
And it just, that kind of thing pushes you on. So to me now, this is just me and you having a conversation. I don't think about the people that are watching, and we don't on a Sunday either. It's just, and then it becomes natural. The more you do it, the more you enjoy it.
Yeah, I have to say, in a previous life, I did stand up on a stage, and I think the most we had was about, I was at an international thing, and I think there was 29 or 30. It was a football stadium filled, and I think it was 29, 30 odd thousand. And the crazy thing is, when it's such a large amount of people and you're saying something or speaking, that was actually much easier than standing up and speaking in a room with 30 or 40 people in front of me, because if there's 30 or 40 people, you see their faces and their reactions and their eyes. But when it's 30 or 40,000 people in a football stadium, you can't relate to a single one of them. So it's you just do what you've practiced doing, and you do it, and that's easy. I suppose that's the way to think about this a little bit.
Yeah, I love that. I did a bit of a public speaking thing at the start of the year. There wasn't loads of people there. It was a bit of a failure, really, but it's on my list of things that I want to achieve in my life, is to do more public speaking. And I would love to stand on stage in front of that many people and do some kind of inspiring talk, something where people are leaving and feeling like they've really got something from it. I would love that.
Yeah. And about motivating, I've had a couple of times in my life, I worked as an educator, and many years, I was sitting at a dinner table once with a lady that I hadn't seen in years and years. And because we'd traveled overseas, and anyway, and then she said, I just wanted to thank you so much. And she went in and thanked me so much for something that I had discussed with her and talked to her about 5 years. It had put her on the right track, she said. And when she was doing her PhD, and she said, I was in my thesis cave. She called it her thesis cave. She thought about what I said so many times. Do you know, honestly, I couldn't actually remember specifically the conversation. But so sometimes you're helping people, but I think it's just good to try to help people whenever you can, because you never ever know which occasion it is that's going to absolutely touch somebody. And you might hear about it, it might come back to you, or you might never hear about it. But that's okay too, because I think it's just, putting good stuff out there into the world, which is better than what's happening out there now.
Yeah, which is what it's kind of one of our ethoses, and it's something I've picked up really in the last 2 years, is the power of thinking positive and eliminating the negativity. And it has come from doing this YouTube stuff and some of the people that I've met through this. And I know when I interviewed a guy about 18 months ago, maybe a year ago. His name was Frank King. He's an American. He's called the mental health comedian, and he was saying that he suffers from something called suicidality. So what he would say is that if something goes wrong in his life, he tells a story about his car breaks down. He says, and I've got three solutions. I can fix my car, I can buy a car, or I can take my own life. That's his. It's always on the table, and this is the talk he does. But he incorporates comedy in with it because he's a comedian. And he said that the way he put it and the way he talked about it, someone came to him after the show and said, I didn't realize what I had. What you've described yourself as is exactly what I am, and now I understand it. And he thought he was just doing a show. He didn't realize quite how much he was reaching people. And I think it just makes you think that you just never know. People say don't be mean to somebody because you don't know what they're going through. Equally, you should try and be as kind as you can to everyone because you don't know what they're going through.
Right. And sometimes that harsh word could just be the straw that breaks the camel back. And what you said about we have at the moment, we have somebody in our family that that's just had a diagnosis, and it's a psychological diagnosis, and it's something similar to what you're talking about. And so it's something now that we're all just trying to research, because I think it's really important that we find out so we don't make a mistake, or that we can actually support, or not enable, but support, and also help rather than hinder in some way. Yeah. It's you just never know what people are going through. So Foxy's got, he's asking, aren't I cold just with my shirt? Well, it's actually a dress. He's got a jumper on. Oh, it is so hot here today. When I first started my classes, I couldn't see you because my classes were all fogged up.
He was asking similar about me when I was cold because I got my shorts on, but it's summer, so I wear my shorts. That's how it works.
It is so hot here today, and the reason that it's so humid and hot is it's just started raining. And, the first half hour or so when it rains after a hot day, and all you get is that steam coming up from everything. And it's more like a sauna than anything else. And that's exactly what we had just as I was starting. So no, Foxy, I'm definitely not cold.
Mel said to me this morning, she goes, "Are you hot or are you cold? You've got shorts on and a hoodie. You need to make up your mind."
Well, I grew up in New Zealand, and it's one of the things that people really noticed about how my teachers, actually, most of them still wore shorts in the winter, but with dress shoes and long socks. It was very strange. It's in Australia as well. It's a very strange fashion choice. But even now to this day, you'll see guys, farmers, especially in New Zealand, with the really nice thick wool lammy, that we called it a lammy, which is a waterproof kind of wool thick thing with a hood, but with shorts and gumboots. And it's freezing cold. And when I was going to school, the boys all had to wear shorts in the winter. They were slightly longer and heavier fabric, but they had to wear shorts.
Yeah, a lot of boys when I was at school wore shorts, and I think it had come from like the 60s and 70s. I think were very much boys wore shorts to school, and I was at primary school in the 80s, and I think it was their parents were still kind of living in that era a little bit. There was still a lot of boys that did wear shorts all the way through the year, but you don't see it as much now. But then I suppose I don't see that many. I don't go to the primary school or anything now very often, so.
Yeah, and I don't know if schools are using, as many schools are using school uniforms anymore. I'm sure a lot still do, but I think a lot of that shorts and skirts and everything for girls kind of got phased out. I think now they have the possibility to wear long trousers, and girls as well to wear trousers as part of the school uniform on cold days, because it was quite a breakthrough when we were allowed to wear a pair of pantyhose under our skirt in the winter, and that was only for the senior classes. So there you are. I think they believed in toughening you up. Foxy saying he had to also wear a school uniform.
Yeah, there is still uniforms. All ours still have uniforms, but it is a lot more kind of unisex, I guess. And my daughter's going to the high school this year, going to secondary school, and she has a choice of trousers or a skirt. They do say they have to be long, but I don't think it will be for very long.
Yeah, the last time I was in New Zealand, I was shocked to see my old school. When I went past it, all the kids are in like co-ed stuff now. It's they all dress pretty much the same, but it's a uniform, but it's like a co-ed uniform for both. So yeah. Hi, Grumpy Sapper. He's saying, he's also saying in the Philippines that uniforms are mandatory. Yeah, I think there's still quite a few countries where it's such a leveler. I don't know. I'm still a fan of them. It's such a leveler.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, I'm just going to adjust my chair because I've just pulled my.
And a lot of my school uniform we bought secondhand, because the school had a shop, and you could hand in all your when you left school. So most of my things, either my mum made or the summer uniform, or for something like pullovers and stuff, I always had secondhand. And that's something you can get away with a school uniform, is to wear something that's a little older or scruffy. But you can't turn up at school in a lot of places now with 3 or 4-year-old trainers on. You're going to get picked on.
I do like the idea of uniforms. I'm not a huge fan of the school system in the UK. I think that we still treat like schools as if it's 1960, like teaching people to talk French and German when the most predominant language in Boston is kind of Lithuanian and Polish. I don't necessarily agree with the way it is. I think there does need to be a reform. However, I am a huge believer that having some kind of discipline, including getting young people to wear uniforms and polish their shoes and cut their hair right. I do think that's important. I think it's part of growth and part of growing up is to understand that, yes, there might be no point to it, but there's a lot of things in life there's no point to that you're going to have to do. So start getting used to it from a young age.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think young people also kind of, you grumble about it constantly, but it's also good to have some kind of structure. I just remember we would have what we called a mufti day. Did you ever have those? And we called it mufti, and it was once or twice a year. We would raise money we always sponsored a child in Africa, or we did some kind of charity. And so usually twice a year we were allowed to wear whatever we wanted to wear to school, but we had to pay 20 cents or 50 cents in those days. It was a lot to have the privilege to wear whatever we wanted. And of course, the money raised was for charity, for sponsoring a child or something like that. And I remember for the whole week before the Mufti Day, all us girls did was what was constantly on the phone at night. Are you wearing jeans? Are you wearing this? Are you wearing that? And when the Friday, because it was always on a Friday, when the Friday turned up, I swear every girl turned up looking the same.
So you might as well have just been in uniform anyway.
You might as well have all been in a uniform, because we were all either wearing skirts or all wearing jeans or all wearing trousers or something, depending on the time of the year. So when I look back on it, it's crazy. It's what we wanted. But okay, so I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions if I could, since I have you on. I thought there might be a couple of people. Well, yeah, Grumpy Sapper says, unfortunately, society has become weak and no backbone. Yeah, you could get into trouble for saying that too loudly in certain places, but I have to say I agree up to a point there. Yeah, he's saying they didn't have phones or distractions. Although I see that there are a couple of schools in America and one or two in England that are actually trying the whole no phone thing.
I think
Apparently it's got so out of hand.
I think they've banned it completely in the UK. I think the Conservatives banned it before they went out. My lad can't take his phone to school at all.
That's good. Well, I think it's okay if they take it to school, but I don't think they should have a place to put it. Like, it's nice if you can keep in touch with your parents. Hey, come pick me up or something. But it shouldn't be out in class.
Yeah, we coped for about 300 years in schools without them, though. So I think they should be able to cope now. I don't know.
I think it was longer. I think it was longer than 300 years. The thing is,
I don't know how long schools have been around. When did the first school open?
I think the first university is, I think there's the one in Krakow in Poland is one of the oldest, and it dates to about 1100, 1200.
Yeah, they didn't have mobile phones then.
No. So no. And I think Cambridge, the university system is really old. So schools. Anyway, so I was going to ask you a couple of questions like that. I think you've got so many new subscribers in the last 3-4 months. Congratulations, by the way. You guys have done really, really well on that. And so I just thought to ask a couple of questions about you that maybe some of the people, though I think everybody that's in here knows you very well. So I'll ask for me, plus minus, I don't need to know your exact street address, but whereabouts in England do you and Mel live?
Okay, so, right, so subscriber-wise, most of our new subscribers were the start of the year. It's been pretty steady the last few months, but I'm trying to get back into it. But I'm sure there is loads of people that subscribe to us that don't know a lot about us. So We live on the east coast in the Midlands. So kind of most people I relate it to Skegness and Mablethorpe, the two seaside towns that are close by. But yeah, east coast of England.
I know Trevor lives up that way as well,
We're
because
we're north of him. He's south from where we are.
okay, so you're even further north because last year I was in England to visit a friend for their 50th birthday, and they live right there. And apparently, we were right into his town. We were right there.
Oh,
And
really?
they live just 10 minutes, 15 minutes outside. And because it was funny, because we went to a beach that was close, and I took photos and everything, and then I'd been back just 1 or 2 weeks, and he posted a photo, and I was like, hang on a second, I know that beach.
Oh, wow.
I was just standing on it a few days ago. So I emailed him and he said, yeah, it's near him. So yeah, so you're even further north. Okay.
Yeah, so by beach, if you were to go north on the beach, it's not a huge distance. It's not like in distance wise, but if you were to drive it, because of the way the coast works, and obviously roads are crap round here. Did I just freeze? I thought I froze, but I didn't.
You did for a second, yeah.
It's about, I think it's about an hour and 15-minute drive to where he is.
Okay. He says, I actually,
Oh, he's here.
Trevor's in here. We're talking about Trevor, and he appears. That's perfect. I think Paul's camera is further north than he is.
I think he's taking the piss out of me being short. I think that's what that is.
Oh, that's mean.
I miss Trevor. We've not spoke for a couple of weeks, and I do see what he does, but I don't see as much of him now, and I miss his live. So I know things are the way they are, Trev, man. But I think I speak for other people when I say that you are missed. It seems like a different time now to what it this time last year. So I've got a bit of free time coming up. Drop me a message, Trev, and we'll have a catch up.
Yeah, that'd be nice. It is. I try to catch up with him on Instagram, and I really love it when he pops back up again in YouTube. But I understand why he's moved in the direction he has. It's pretty incredible. In fact, that was one of my questions, or not questions, it was something that I wanted to talk about. So maybe it's a good segue into that now, is about the community that's been built, because Trevor was the very first person that called out my channel, and I got quite a few new viewers. I mean, I have 360, and I think I went from 75 or 100 up to the 350 or 360 that I have now, and it just goes up and down, simply because Trevor called out my channel. And I mentioned it. I've mentioned him a few times on my channel, hoping to pay back, but most of the people that are on my channel were originally on his, and it's just been incredible how the community has built up between Trevor and Fiona and Graham and you, and there's so many people, and Foxy and there's so many of us are on the peripheral of that have benefited. I think we have also supported as much as we could, but there's only so much you can do, isn't there, on when somebody's really going through a lot.
Yeah, I think the thing is that social media's got two sides to it, and we've spoken about this loads. There's a real dark, nasty, evil, toxic side that the people who want to be like that can really thrive in this environment, because they can hide behind who they are, and they don't have to kind of have their face, and they can just be horrible and mean to people. But then we talk about the positivity, because that's what we try and push. And there is some people out there that you meet, and you just know that they're genuinely good people and they care about each other. And you know, we've spoke about Trevor. He did some amazing stuff for our channel. We know that Annabelle has spoke about him as well, shouting out, and you, and there's been a whole load of people that he's helped. And I know that he's helped some people that have then turned their back, and he's helped some people that have actually gone on and done quite well. But the community as a whole, when you think about, and I've just seen he's saying something about teamwork, and that's what it is. You look at the community that we've got. Grumpy Sapper's in the chat now, so Lee's a huge advocate for people. He gives people shout outs and he does stuff for them, and the community is strong. And there's this group of people, and I'm looking at them in here now. So Linda, I see Linda's in, and what, you know, I'm going to use Linda as an example, but you know, there's so many people out there. But Linda's supported us through loads. She's in our Discord. I know tonight Linda is a moderator on Tricky Bricky's channel, and I know that Tricky's live right now, but Linda's still in this chat because she's part of our community, and that's the kind of spirit you get. But then when you can't make it into someone's lives, like I've really struggled to get in Fox's because of some of the timings that he does them. Nobody holds it against you, you know. And I think that's the important thing, and that's how a community grows, you know. I kind of, I'm not going to take credit for introducing him, but I really pushed Rick Paul to start doing his channel and do more on YouTube. I brought him into this little community, and he does loads with Annabelle now. I barely see any of his lives or any of his videos. I don't get time to see everyone's, but when I can, I do, and I think that's really important.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I mean, we all do have lives and things that we have to do, but when I can, I try every day to see as many, at least one before, you know, at least one. I'll look at one live, or I'll go on catch up. And what's really important is I also try to like and often leave a comment, because that's what helps the algorithm sort of thing, and that. So yeah, there's a lot of support, but as Trevor said, it's about teamwork. Unfortunately, there are a few that try to drag you down, and I haven't, hand on heart, that I'm fortunate till now. I haven't had anybody that's tried to drag me down. Couple of times I've wondered, how will I react if I were to get some of the stuff?
It's hard not to react. I'll tell you, Trevor was the one who kind of talked me round. He would say, just don't give them the time of day. Don't comment, don't react, because the more you react, the more you do it. I remember reacting to somebody on Twitter or X, and it was really my first introduction to these kind of people. And Trevor rang me up and went, "You know who that person is?" I was like, "I ain't got a clue." And so we got into this whole conversation about this person and what they had done and what they do to people. He said, "Just ignore them," and that's the best way to be. And the bigger you get, the more you'll get it. So I work with one of my good friends whose channel is The Wanderings of Alan and Kaz. I work with Alan, and he used to say, "I don't understand why you get all this trolling. It must be you. It must be something you're doing. We don't get any trolling." And then he got to 1,000 subscribers and started getting people trolling him. And you just know that as you get bigger, there's always going to be someone that's going to watch your video and they're going to say, "That thing you said's wrong. That bit of information's wrong. That's not factually correct." There's always going to be someone.
Going back onto the whole royal saga that's been going on, and as I said, I still follow a couple of YouTubers that, as I said, the Royal Reviewer, that's a really cool guy, and I've been following him now just on 10 years. And I did start to interact and engage with a couple of his detractors, you could say, that were really saying false things in the comments. And I did try. Wow, I got ripped to pieces. I mean, I got ripped to pieces. And it wasn't until afterwards. Now, of course, Fiona and all of them know it. This was the early days of the Sussex squad. And there were more of them then, and they were really vicious. So I do know that I stepped back for a few weeks, because I'm just walking around, walking my dog and that, and I'm being called all these things and thinking, you don't know me.
It's crazy though, isn't it?
Yeah, Isn't
It's
it?
crazy
It's
because
crazy.
I've had comments against me, and I've gone, right, I'm not having that. Right, straight on the keyboard. Yeah, well, you're a dick. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, right, that'll teach him. And you're like, that hasn't taught anyone anything. All he's done is annoyed me even more. I'm now more wound up than I was before.
Yeah, as Grumpy Sapper says, correct, Trev, many YouTubers get way above themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not just they get above themselves. I think it's this being anonymous, you know, being able to just not. And this is why I think your channel did take a leap, and I would really like mine too a bit. And it's what I said to you before, is I think when you start to show your face and you talk to people, then people realize you are actually a real person, and I think more personable. And I think this is what Trevor does as well, Fiona, all of them, even Foxy. They are who they are. You are who you are, and you have to just learn to say, well, that's who I am, and you take it or leave it. It's Trevor just said it's extremely hard to train yourself not to react to pure hatred that's constantly directed at you.
It really is. It's so hard, and I'll come back to that. There was something you were just saying there that I wanted to pick up on, but it's gone. But yeah, this whole thing about reacting, it really is when your natural instinct, especially when you've been trained in a certain way. So we talk about the forces, and it's not just the forces, it's the prison service, it's the police, it's growing up as an alpha male that you're not allowed to say anymore. Growing up in that kind of environment, growing up on hostile housing estates in 80s and 90s Britain, your reaction is your natural reaction is to go back at somebody. But nowadays you've got to bring it back in and not do that, because it's a different world. Back then, if someone upset you in the local pub, you could offer them outside and you go and have a bit of a dust up and it'd be done by the next day. You can't do that now. You just can't. I've tried it. I offered these trolls, I offered them to come and fight me legitimately in a white collar MMA fight. I'll fight anybody legitimately, and then we're done. And then they're all goes, oh, he's threatening. It's not a threat. Like,
It's an
honestly,
offer.
yeah, it's a genuine offer.
It's a genuine offer to take it to a different arena, you could say.
Yeah. Let's settle it.
Yeah. It's and also I think there's one thing that I did notice that just recently, Fiona completely lost it. I'd never ever seen her that angry, or that she was practically, because she usually nothing phases her. It seems to just wash off her, and that. But what really got to her was when they started attacking her daughter, and I know that kind of mama bear cub feeling as well. So I think, yeah, it's okay. We put ourselves into this situation, but when they start attacking your family or your kids or something, then that's not on. So
I was the same when somebody posted some pictures of Mel on X. They had taken a picture of her looking amazing, and a picture of when she was out in the summer's day, hot and sweaty, with her hair stuck to her head. And they kind of said, oh, I don't know what filter, and basically just being really horrible. And I know who it is, and I had my van keys in my hand, and I was on my way out the door to go and see them. And I would have gone, but Mel wouldn't let me. But I'm glad I didn't, because if I'd gone down or up, I'm not going to say whereabouts it was, but if I'd done that and gone and given someone a slap, it'd only be me that gets in trouble. Like, there's no point to it. What hurts them more is just ignoring them and being successful. And that's what we're aiming to do. We're aiming to be successful, as we all are.
Thanks so much, Grumpy Sapper. He says, hit the like button, guys. That's nice. Thank you. That's a very, very nice of him to say it.
Nice to see Joy. Nice to see Joy Earls in the chat as well. Hi, Joy. Nice to see you. I don't know if Joy's one of your subscribers as well, but I know she often comes in ours. So it's nice to see people joining.
It is. It's really lovely. And okay, so you have some health issues. You said you've got a sore back. What do you do? What do you do in your job when your job is a trainer, a fitness trainer? You're working hard. What do you do to protect your back or to look after it?
I
Because I think
guess,
I get back problems. Haven't had it for a little while, but I mainly because I'm really careful. But I think a lot of people get back problems.
yeah. So I've had back issues for many years now, and it stems from when I was in the army. And then I come out. I had a few years out before it got to the point where I needed to have surgery on it. So I've had surgery on it. I've got 2 repaired discs. Had that 12 years ago, and they told me that sort of after 10 years I might need it doing again. Last couple of months it's been playing up more and more, and kind of this last 2 weeks it's been the pain's almost intolerable at times.
Oh,
So I guess it's like anything, you kind of get used to it. You get used to protecting it. I really have to put thought into what I'm doing all the time, because I can go in the gym and exercise and train and be fine, and then I can go in the garden and cut the grass and I won't be able to walk for 2 days. If I'm going to sneeze, I have to think about how I'm stood just in case my head whips forward and everything, because I can literally put my back out sneezing. It's crazy. But I think exercise really helps, as long as I keep
mhm.
it sensible, as long as I'm not like street running or doing anything that's heavy on the knees of excuse me, heavy on the knees, putting impact through your back, keeping a strong core. So I do loads of stretching, yoga type exercises, crunches, plank, anything to keep a strong core, because that's where your strength for your back comes from, is kind
Mhm,
of your
mhm,
core
mhm.
muscles. Keeping my weight down as well, eating sensibly. There's a
Okay,
whole
I've never heard that before. I've never heard somebody, well, perhaps you're not allowed to be that honest anymore when you see somebody, uh, 50 kilos overweight and, they've got a back problem. I'm not sure if the doctor's even allowed to say anymore without, weight discrimination or whatever it is. But I've never heard somebody openly sort of say, hey, I'm sorry. I just.
I'm assuming you saw the same one I did.
Yeah, I've just put it up on the screen. No, I'm sorry, Trevor. um, but yeah, keeping your weight down, that's really something. And he's saying, Foxy's saying, being careful with your yoga exercises. But I realized many, many years ago that keeping my core at a certain level, my core strength, if
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
if I let it drop, I start to feel my back straight away. But so saying, I don't do crazy stuff anymore. I've quit doing, like, you would never get me in a Zumba class or anything silly like that anymore, because that's the other extreme. I've discovered that really, really doing stupid extreme stuff, I hurt my back. But if I don't do anything also and keep the core up, it's also, yeah.
Yeah, I don't train I don't train loads of back. When I train back, it tends to be upper back. I try not to do too many deadlifts. I did a deadlift challenge a couple of weeks ago and caused myself an injury. I don't do a lot of lower body stuff like that just because my back can't handle it. But then saying that, I can go into a jiu-jitsu gym and roll around on the floor for a couple of hours, and well, I won't say I'm fine. Mel's pulling the right face over there. Because normally if I do that the next night, I'm in absolute agony. Yeah, I'm broken. But you've still got to live your life. I make the decisions I make.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. I don't do that crazy stuff anymore, but yeah. And now it's just the pennies drop, because Joy also said, Trevor can try lifting my big boy cat Smudge. Now, Joy, is this Joy with the big, what is the kind of cat that she's got? It's one of those
Oh,
coon.
is it a Cancun?
Is it a Cancun cat? Is this the Joy?
Mancoon.
Man,
Mancoon.
Mancoon. Okay. Is this the Joy that I met once? She was on somebody's live, I think Foxy's, and she had her cat. And, those are huge things. It's just about as big as your dog.
No way. Impossible.
Well, it's half the size of your dog. But how is your dog, by the way?
Warm. He's a big lad, and he's got a big coat, and he just puffs and pants all the time. But he's all right. He's been on his jabs last week. It was this time last week. He had his jabs because he's going in the kennels while we go on holidays. So he wasn't very happy about that, because I said on the live the other night they had to take his temperature, and they don't put it in the ear or the mouth for a dog. So
just looking at one of mine is licking his feet, which he shouldn't be doing, and the other one's snoozing underneath. I had them out for a nice run today, so
nice.
So this is so true. Grumpy Sapper says he has a little dog with a huge attitude.
Yeah, and that's funny, because I've got a huge dog with a little dog attitude. He thinks he's a little baby.
Well, yeah, I've got Jack Russells, and I always said that if they were human beings that wear leather jackets and ride motorcycles, that's the attitude they have in life. But so he's not a purebred. Oh wow, it's still a big cat though. He's 20 pounds.
20 pounds.
He's
What's
as
that
big as
kilo?
a dog.
5 kilo.
A bit more than that.
Yeah, that's big. That's big for a cat.
Yeah.
He's up there. I'm going to show. Hang on 1 second. Can I get this turned around? 1 second.
Yeah. Oh, look at him.
He's rude.
He's just decided he's going to go and sit with Mel.
Isn't he beautiful though?
Honestly, he's cheeky. But yeah, he is lovely, and he's got such a gorgeous temperament. He's so friendly. He hasn't got a nasty bone in him. And when I took him to the vets, everyone was shying away from him, and I think it's just because of the size of him.
Yeah. So if you've watched my channel at all, occasionally my youngest daughter's dog Louis is featured, and he's a Staffordshire Terrier, like a
Yeah.
Staffordshire Terrier. Yeah, just had to think there for a minute, and we just have to be so careful with him. It's not that he's bad. He's such a sweetheart. He's really, really a sweetheart. But you have to be so careful, because people would just take one look at him and they expect the worst.
Them breeds got a really bad rap in the late 90s. They got the same as like what XL Bullies are getting now. The Staffies did in sort of maybe the early 2000s, because they were the dog of choice for the street thug. I don't think they got banned, did they? They didn't get banned like the XLs have, but they did get a really bad reputation.
Yeah, Trevor, I wanted to actually ask you that about your dog, poor Zeus.
Oh,
do you still miss Zeus? And I wanted to actually ask Trevor that, do you want to get another dog?
I don't think he can answer you. He just put, my dog's dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
2 dead dogs.
Aww. He was lovely as well.
Yeah, he was. Sapper says we need to do more collaboration, guys, to build our channels. Get around your friends and share our channels. Yeah.
I like these collaborations. I always used to get a bit focused on wanting to get more known names and I guess famous people on, but I think that these ones are so much better, where you've just got two normal people down to earth chatting about everyday stuff, because it's more real life, it's more realistic, you know, and people can relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was going to say earlier when you were saying about like subscribing to people when they're live, because people buy into people. You know, brands are all well and good once they've got a good name, but you look at brands like Nike, they used Michael Jordan. They used his face and his name to sell brands. And you look at how many brands do that. There's always endorsements, because people buy into people. They don't always buy into just a brand or a faceless channel. And this is what people want more than ever. And I've noticed recently that lives seem to be taking over. There's people that are doing lives every single day, just their normal life, and they're live.
Mm-hmm. I follow 2 channels, and they do a weekly vlog, and one does pretty much a daily vlog. And it's really strange how you just get sort of, it's like having a friend while you're having a coffee, or when I'm having my lunch, I just catch up with what they're doing, and I go, yay, I did more than you today. or they make me feel guilty, and I go clean something. But anyway, yeah, it's again what I said about you having more contact. And it's I started to tell, before we went live, I started to tell you the story about, I go off, not often, but relatively often, we travel by train to Vienna, and it's 6.5, 7 hours. And from Liechtenstein to Vienna, it goes through the Tyrol, and people pay a lot of money to go skiing, or to go hiking, or to go for summer breaks, or to spas and things in the Tyrol. It's some of the most beautiful area of Austria. And the train goes through the spectacular scenery of mountains and little villages and rushing rivers and forests. And I'm always looking for deer running in and out of the forest. And I look around, and I'm the only person in the whole carriage looking out the window. Every single other person is on their mobile phone or on their computer. And yes, of course, get some work done. My husband spends 6 hours solidly. He does a full day's work on the train. That I can understand, but it's pretty much every time I'm on a tram or on a bus or on a train, people are not talking together anymore. They're just all on their mobile phones. Restaurants. You go to a restaurant, and half the people in a restaurant are not talking to the people across the table from them. They're actually on their phones. So I think live streams are kind of starting to replace a little bit of that community where, I don't know, people used to get together around the water cooler or go down to the pub and have a pint.
Yeah, no, I agree, and we've done it, to be fair, and I suppose there's good sides and bad sides. So me and Sapper and Annabelle and a few of us we do like a live get together. We do, obviously it's not streamed, but we do it virtually, so we're all together. So I guess with that, it's quite good that you can do that, because you can kind of connect to people long distance. But I think when you're talking about being on trams, especially that beautiful part of the country that you're currently at, we spent some time in Innsbruck, and the Lewis Stash, and the scenery's amazing, and the water's blue, and like it's just amazing. And I can't imagine being somewhere like that and just being sat behind a screen, or just watching Netflix. Why? It's insane to me, but I think that's the way the world's always going to be. Kids will always look at the world through a screen, no matter where they are.
Yeah, I think it's the way it's gone. Yeah, because of course, to go to Vienna, we go right through. We stop in Innsbruck. Innsbruck's just 2.5 hours up the road from us. So yeah, we go through Innsbruck and Salzburg and all these places on the way to Vienna. And
Innsbruck airport, when we flew into Innsbruck, you fly in between the mountains and you land on the runway, and they just open the door and let you get off. You just walk down these steps onto the runway, and then your bags are there. They're unloading them out the side, and you just pick them up off the runway and walk. And I was like, I've been up and all over the world, and I'd never been to an airport like that, like not a commercial airport. Obviously, I've been to others, but I'd never been to a commercial airport where they just unload your bags out the boot of the plane. It was crazy.
Well, that happens also down the road here in Switzerland, and it happens in a couple of the small places in Switzerland and around New Zealand as well. It's good to know it's still happening. See, Joyce says in the hospital, dentist, everybody's on their phones, and she says that no community spirit.
No.
Grumpy Sap is saying people have lost their social skills. It is. When I was in the Middle East, one thing that I did like in the Middle East is the women are not involved in it in any way, but the men have what's called a majlis culture, and traditionally they always would have in every area or every community a big hall or a big room or somewhere, and they have this very strange furniture thing where all the chairs are against the walls all around the outside. But basically, not every day, but very often, almost every day, a lot of the older men would go into the majlis and younger guys could go in and sit. And that's where they talked and they discussed the world and they passed on wisdom and they passed on, and they would smoke shisha, I think, in the majlis. I'm not sure. But it was very much a masculine, but it was a passing on of wisdom, you could say. Yeah, Grumpy Sapper says his majlis is his bar. Exactly.
Your bar, Sapper? I didn't know you drank.
So, and even in the Middle East, that's being lost. We went into, they had, near where we lived, they had they opened up this huge area, and part of it was like a communal majlis where everybody could go in and you could get coffee and drinks. And I went in once with my husband. We're sitting there with some friends, and they had, it was massive, this is really massive, big sort of a tent system thing with lots of groupings of seats. And I was looking around because we was with our friends and chatting. We had visitors, and I was looking, a group of 9 men, and all of them are on their phone but 2. Another group of 12 guys, and only 3 of them are talking. All the rest are on their phone. And I just thought, even in places like that, they're losing their culture, because that was a very big part of their culture, the majlis. Now it's just phones.
Yeah. It is sad. I don't think it'll change. I don't see anything getting better. We can just do what we do, you know. And I think when me and Mel, we don't do them as much now, but when we go out and do walks and we kind of try and film a bit of the scenery, because I know that we've got some subscribers who are in America who like to see like the British houses, and we do try and incorporate that in a little bit, but I don't do as much now because I think when I'm out and about and I'm walking, I want to be in the moment. I don't want to be filming all the time.
Mm.
I want to see it. I want to see it for real.
Yeah, and sometimes I don't film absolutely everything for my channel because I'm actually enjoying looking at it myself. But one fun last Seppa is asking, where was I in the Middle East? We were in Qatar. We traveled a lot around the whole of the Middle East, but we actually lived in Qatar. One funny thing about that, though, is the plus side of that is it's now allow young men and women to talk. And how they do it is if you use Snapchat on Bluetooth and that, you can wipe it. You don't it, and they all have lots of multiple mobile phones, so they'll use one for their chatting and one for family and things like that. And so they'll go, you go into a cafe, and there's a whole group of girls or young women, and just a table or 2 over is a whole group of young guys, and they're all giggling and on their phone and giggling. And the funny thing is they're all texting, they're all Bluetooth swapping chats to each other, but they're completely within their culture of not communicating or not sitting together or not being together, but they're busy.
Yeah.
So young people have a way of getting around everything, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely they do. Absolutely. I mean, I work with young people, so I know they've got ways around everything.
So Grumpy Sap is actually in the UAE.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Okay, where are you in? Dubai or Sharjah, or are you in whereabouts? Which of the you? Which of the? Because it is United Arab Emirates. Which emirate are you in, is what I'm trying to ask, I guess. Al Ain. I've been there. We had a shop there. And not me personally, but the company I worked for. Nice. Okay. So then I've got a very strange out of it question here to ask you, as somebody who does a lot of fitness and things like that. Do you know any remedies for cramp?
Okay, so I guess cramp is caused excuse me. Cramp is caused through being in a poor condition, I think is what the official term is.
Oh, no.
Yeah, through kind of nutrition and hydration, lack of magnesium. So one of the biggest things that is advised, and what I would advise, is to be hydrated correctly, because dehydration is a huge factor in cramp. So you've got to think, and I think I'm right when I say this with the science behind it. People say that you shouldn't eat before you go swimming because it can cause cramp. Because what happens is you eat and then the blood goes to your stomach to help process the food, which means you've got less blood in your muscles, which means you've got less salt, and that's what causes the cramp.
Okay.
So correct hydration, and again, something that a lot of people get wrong is that they think that to hydrate they've just got to drink loads of water, which isn't true. If you drink loads of water, all it'll do is go through you, and then you pee it out, and when you pee it out, you tend to pee out more salt. So you need to hydrate with electrolytes, which is water, sodium, potassium, and magnesium. Magnesium being kind of the main one, which is why if you see a good hydration drink will have high amounts of magnesium and then lower of potassium, but it'll also have salt in as well. These ones that say no salt and no sugar are rubbish hydration drinks, because you need salt and sugar to hydrate. So
okay.
There is kind of
this is all kind of making some sense. But just before, somebody called Rick, as he says he can't stop. He's just dropping by for you and will subscribe. So thank you, Rick, and it's nice that you popped in.
That's Rick, who I was talking about earlier, who I kind of spoke to about starting a channel, and he's gone on to do good things.
Okay, excellent. I'll check him out. I didn't know. And before we get back, I'm not sure. Pull the knee is the elbow of the leg.
Is that what it is?
I'm not quite sure what he's meaning there. Do you know what he means?
I think he's trying to give me some body science. I think he's trying to help me out.
Okay. Well, what you're saying makes sense, because I take magnesium every day anyway. I need to, so I take a magnesium. And it happened to me quite a few years ago. I just kept getting cramps, especially at night, and agonizing, like having to absolutely fall out of bed. I just always in my calf muscle. So I took magnesium, and it just, I don't know, it just all just went away. And just this last week or more, it started again, and they're always kind of there. And I'm still taking the magnesium. And exactly as you said, I've been thinking, oh, I'm not hydrating because I'm really bad at drinking, really, really bad. And I just don't have a thirst reflex. So I always forget to drink. So I've been trying to drink, and all that does is I just have to get up and hobble with my cramp 3 times a night to go to the bathroom because I'm drinking so much.
you need more salt in your diet, and I think 20% of water in your diet comes through your food. And people don't tend to put salt because they think salt's bad for them, because that's what the government told them in the 90s. But it's not true. You can overdose on salt, but that's ridiculous amounts. Adding salt to stuff won't have an adverse effect at all. You're gonna be much worse off having too much sugar than you are having too much salt. But Mel said quinine. What's that? Quinine.
Yeah, quinine is what you get in gin and tonic. It's in the Schweppes tonic.
Yes.
quinine. It's
So-
it's a natural plant extract that they used to use for it's against what was that horrible thing you would get when you went into the Asia, and that everybody got cholera.
Oh, okay. So Mel said that maybe not with the gin, maybe just the tonic, but that's supposed to be good for cramps as well.
Okay.
And travel sickness tablets contain it as well, so they reckon
Oh,
them as
okay.
well. A lot of people suffer from cramps in their legs at night. A lot of people.
Well, it's funny because my husband's been away for I've only seen him off and on 2 weeks in the last 6 weeks. He's home this weekend. He's coming back. And once or twice a week, we have a gin and tonic on the weekend. And I haven't since he's been away. So no quinine in my system.
That's it then. You need more gin and tonics, Francis. You need more
I
gin
need
and
a gin and
tonics.
tonic.
You're not drinking enough.
Yeah, I'm not drinking. And the other thing is that I really struggle with a couple of kilos overweight, and so I've really cut back on sugar in the last few weeks. I've literally, I don't think I've eaten anything really sweet for at least the last 2 or 3 weeks, and bang, suddenly I get cramps. So maybe I need to go and get myself after this I need to go and crack out something sweet and have a gin and tonic with it.
You certainly don't look like you're a couple of kilos overweight.
A bit more. I was being a bit. See, Grumpy Sapper saying sugar isn't good for you at all. Yeah, I don't think it is actually. So I really just really cut back, and I think you get a lot of it. It's hard to avoid sugar. You just about if you buy anything. I think he's saying with my husband, if he's flying a lot, check for deep vein thrombosis. But that's my husband, not me. He's flying a lot. In the last weeks, he flew to Rwanda and back, and then to Uganda, and now he's in Tokyo. So
nice.
Yeah. But
nice for him, maybe not so much for you.
Oh, it's okay. I walk the dogs and get on with my stuff. It's fine. I've got lots to do. But it will be nice. He's coming back this weekend. And it is work. I mean, the thing is, I don't know if you've traveled. You said you traveled a lot, but sometimes there's a difference between going on holiday and traveling and traveling for work. It sounds fantastic for a while, and it is great for a little while, but sometimes it can be too much.
It's not fantastic when you travel somewhere that you think is going to be amazing and you don't see any of it because you're stuck at work.
Yeah, that's the other thing. So I read Trevor's book, actually, and I think that was something that he mentioned in his book. I don't think he got to see a great deal of the places he was in.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Am I correct, Trevor, that you might have mentioned that in your book? I think in the military, you do only often get to see a certain amount. Although what was really strange was we would get Americans in Qatar doing R&R, but they weren't based in Qatar. They weren't allowed to take R&R. There's a military base in Qatar, the American military base, but they're not allowed to do their R&R in Qatar. So the ones we got there were from somewhere else. I think they were from Kuwait or somewhere.
Oh, wow.
Please tell Paul how safe the UAE is. He thinks it's dangerous.
I don't think it's dangerous. I think it's too expensive.
Yeah, I think some of these places are. You do hear still stories, you know. I think it's you've got to just not be stupid. But I think that's really, I think that's pretty much anywhere.
Yeah,
I think
trouble is, there's a lot of stupid people in the world. That's the thing.
Yeah, and just you should really do a little bit. I mean, I was always really surprised at people that would see. Grumpy Sap has been there 15 years. I believe it. It's easy to become very comfortable or to get used to it.
He's only still, yeah. He's trying to get us to go over. To be fair, we have said we will try and get over at some point, but it's not going to be this year. It's not going to be this year. But we're going to have to. Well, you can keep going if you want, Francis, but I'm going to have to wrap this up. We've done an hour.
Yes, I just myself, just as soon as you said that, I just looked and it's already over an hour, and I had only intended to do about an hour. So I haven't finished my list. And did you have just quickly something you wanted to ask me?
I guess it would have been nice if we could have just spoke about your channel a little bit in the direction. I noticed you've got up to 373 subscribers while we've been on. So
Oh, wow.
You've gained a few tonight, which is always nice. But what kind of direction are you hoping to go in? What have you got coming up?
Well, I have been very remiss about because I have had a few health issues, and I don't know if you can hear it, but my voice, I've had some problems with my lungs, and I really felt very conscious that when I was recording, you can hear it in my voice. My voice has changed a great deal from my first ones, but then I decided it is what it is, and I just have to keep going. So I'm going to try. I've got so much backlog of videos and that. I think I will just do some more of what I was doing, which was, if we went away, what we'd been doing, some things with the dogs. I think also I would like to do, if I can get myself, is to do a little bit more of, I only did 1 or 2 where I was actually just walking and talking with the dogs. I think I would like to do a little bit more of that, so that people can see where I am a bit more on a day-to-day, because I don't want to fall into that trap of only having amazing videos of when we go on holiday and showing the dogs in amazing places, because that's not my day-to-day life. I'd like to show a bit more of my day-to-day life, which Liechtenstein, Switzerland is absolutely beautiful. And so I'd like to just do a bit more of those, just talking and showing where we are and by the river or whatever.
I think that'd be really popular. And my friends that do a travel channel fell into that trap of, they would go somewhere amazing like Slovenia and the Dolomites, and they would do all these videos. And he was saying that he's really struggling because we're just stuck in Lincolnshire. Like I said, yeah, but you don't have to be somewhere amazing. You've just got to be out somewhere. You've just got to be showing where you are, what you're doing. That's what people are interested in. They buy into people, not places.
Right.
Exactly. That'd be really good.
And so what I've just done as well is last week, this last week, I've just bit the bullet. I'd been sort of saving up. I wanted to buy a drone to show some of that, but I actually spent the money on, I got myself a laptop, because I only have a PC here on my desk. And whenever we do go away or whatever, I have my hands a little bit tied, that I can't work on the go. I can't work when I'm away. So I think that's going to help my productivity a lot, to be able to. And I don't know if you've noticed, I've started again putting out a few shorts. So I have so I think that's the way I want to go, is there be coming behind the scenes will be 1 or 2 of the kind of bigger, longer, because they take a lot of work, those videos. They really do, to put together. So I think maybe once a month or something, there'll be one of those big ones. And then in between, there'll be shorts and maybe a live, and just some easier, well, not so much easier, but just some more basic day-to-day ones. That's what I'm trying. That's my plan. I hope that's what people would like to see.
I think that would be amazing. I'm really looking forward to what you can do. We'll keep sharing you out, and we'll keep pushing you. And it'll be amazing. We'll see your channel grow. Hopefully by the end of the year we can hit big numbers for you.
Oh, I'd just like to get to 1,000. That would be then I can get trolled like all you guys.
Yeah, come and join the family.
I can join the club. Okay, then.
Let's see what we can do.
So thank you so much, everybody, for coming in, and thank you, Paul, for supporting me so well. And it's been really a lovely evening with you.
I'll be honest, I've really enjoyed it. I love the lives anyway. I love being live, but being live with someone who's so down to earth and so genuine, and it's just been amazing. Do you know what? Before we come live, me and you were having a chat, and Mel was sat opposite me, and she went, "She's lovely," like that. So it's always a pleasure, and thank you to everyone who continues to support us. Thank you everyone who continues to support Francis. It is really appreciated. So enjoy the rest of your evenings, guys. Have a good weekend.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye.